Have you ever found yourself caught between the person you are and the person you aspire to be? It is a common struggle that we all face. Wouldn't you agree? You have big dreams and small habits that you wish to cultivate, like working out regularly or whatever it is, learning a new language, finally driving, into that hobby that you keep putting off, that dream that you keep putting off your back. You're like, not now, I'll start tomorrow. Who told you tomorrow is given? But somehow, the path to achieving these goals feels like it requires a complete transformation into someone new. Don't worry about me and I look revved, I'm thinking, to someone new who is always consistent, disciplined, full of willpower. You've given it your all, and for a while, it worked. But then, the inevitable, sleep, happens, and you find yourself back at square one. I'm sure one way or another in life, you faced that, I have faced that, we all have faced that, and if you've not, you will. Frustration and self-doubt, it creeps in with every failed attempt, making the journey, it seems even more daunting, right? I think I've talked too much. Let me welcome you. Welcome to my video, where I'll dive into this very topic. I'll explore why change is so challenging and uncover practical insights to help you bridge the gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. So let's embark on this journey together of personal development, personal growth, personal excellence, and transformation. And let's find out on how to make these lasting changes in your life. Mine too. But we're having that conversation. But before we dive into this insight today, I want to share something personal, and it's very important. The foremost source of my guidance and success is God. I want to acknowledge him in this video, in this channel, in my life. His wisdom and grace is paramount. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to make God your top priority in all your pursuit. I wouldn't be here without God's guidance and blessings. This channel and everything I share stems from my deep belief and faith in him. God's presence is essential for your personal growth and development. You cannot do it without him. You cannot figure it out without him. And with that heartfelt note, let's move forward with the important details for today's video. So why making changes in your life is difficult? Let's take a moment to imagine your brain as this lush, dense jungle. Imagine every time you make a decision, it's like carving a path through this wild, untamed forest. Just picture that. It's tough and it uses up a lot of energy, right? Now, your brain is kind of lazy. It doesn't like, spending extra energy if it doesn't have to. So it came up with a clever trick. Very clever. I hope my lighting is okay. Very clever trick. Every action you take leaves a bit of a trail in this mental jungle. Just picture it. If you can't picture it, there's a forest behind me. Just look at that and imagine your brain just like that. When you do something for the first time, you might trample down some plants and make a rough makeshift path. The more you repeat the action, the more defined the trail becomes. Over time, this trail turns into a path, and you keep at it, that path can eventually become a street. Keep going, and it transforms into a highway. Smooth, easy, familiar to travel on. You don't even need a map. This is why doing the same thing over and over becomes second nature. You just do it without even thinking. You just use that road without even a GPS. And why change can feel so challenging, especially when you are an adult, full-grown adult, with all these established highways in your mental jungle. What are the routines and habits Now, let's talk about the routines and habits, because understanding these can really help you figure out how to build those highways. Not streets, not paths, highways. Straight highways without those bumps, Anyway, highways. Think of routine as sequences of actions that you perform in the same way every time because they've worked well for you before. For instance, you might have a morning routine where you get the same ingredients for breakfast and prepare them. Like for me, I love tea, eggs, mandazi, I don't know how you call it in your language, and prepare them in a certain order because you like the results. Or maybe before bed, you set your alarm at 6:30, whatever time you wake up. This is just an example, because that's when you want to get up. Sometimes I get up at 5 for me, sometimes at 6. I don't know for you. Please tell me in the comments, what time do you wake up? Imagine that routines are managed by a wise planner. Inside you, not outside, inside you. This planner is slow, thoughtful, and considers the future too. It strategizes and decides on actions that, while sometimes unforgettable, it leads to desired outcomes, like taking a shower after waking up. When you repeat these routines often, when you repeat them often enough, they can turn into habits. Habits are those actions you do almost on autopilot without even thinking it. You just do it. You wake up, you brush your teeth without even thinking, because you've done them so many times before that your brain sees them as rewarding and as very easy. You just wake up, you do it. Easy peasy. Habits feel automatic because they are triggered by cues in your environment. For example, seeing your phone and immediately you unlock it, or sitting in the car and reaching out for a seatbelt. Picture habit as being managed by impulsive, the toddler inside you. Because as a full adult, you've gone through toddlerhood shape. I hope that's even a word. This toddler, it reacts to immediate desires and wants happening around you without even thinking about long-term goals. For the toddler, the future doesn't exist, and it really hates hard work. How about that? If you have a toddler, if you've seen one, you know it. So when it sees a trigger, it steers you down. You know how toddlers can just push the buttons? The familiar easy road in your brain that leads to rewarding outcome is like that toddler in you. It keeps pressing like, Have you experienced toddlers? If you haven't, go try. This is how habits, even the bad ones, they form. The toddler loves the immediate reward. Right there and right there. They want it right there and right there. Like the taste of chocolate. Like you keep repeating these actions. Whatever it is the toddler in you. It wants it right there and there. And if you don't, the nagging, the tears. Now it might seem like this impulsive toddler is sabotaging you, right? But it actually is very crucial to how your brain functions. Your wise planner and the impulsive language, like the toddler tackles like a big task. I forgot what I was saying, like parallel parking or doing taxes, which requires a lot of mental energy. Meanwhile, the toddler takes repetitive tasks, freeing up your brain to handle more complicated challenges. So when you talk about changing behaviors and introducing new ones, you can actually see this energy-saving mechanism to your advantage. You can use them to your advantage. Instead of aiming for big, overwhelming changes, you can focus on small ones. Remember, you're dealing with the toddler inside you. Small, manageable tasks do not overwhelm you. The manageable ones. Tiny improvements can add up significantly over time, making a real difference in your life. And so, let's get to the tiny improvements, the tips that you can do consistently. I was having a light bulb moment, but it went. Exercised. It will add up and change your life dramatically when you take the simple, small steps. So how to build a habit if you want to make changes easier? Remember, you're dealing with a toddler inside you, right? You might think it's all about willpower, but there's a smarter way. I'm sure you've tried willpower. Convince your brain that The change isn't a big deal. By creating a new routine and turning them into habits, you have to have a conversation with this. You can make the process feel almost effortless. You have to talk with this toddler inside you. You have to have the conversation. You want your wise planner to set up the initial trail, and then let your impulsive toddler take over to make action feel automatic. I hope I'm making sense. I hope you're following. Please put in the comment if you're following. Let's say you want to get fitter, a common goal. Just an example. The key here is to break down this vague goal into clear, specific actions. Make each action so manageable that it feels like drinking water, like taking 2 more steps. And also specific, that you don't have to think about it so much. Manageable, specific, you don't have to think about it. For instance, instead of just aiming to exercise more, that's vague. Start with something like doing 10 squats or even 5. Even, like every morning, whatever time it is you choose. This is a tangible, controllable action. To get started, you need to create a routine with clear triggers that the toddler can learn to latch on. Triggers are signals that you're always associated with actions. Not just like that it's just by saying, I don't know what. They can be visual cues, like seeing your workout clothes or something related to a certain time or day or specific place, like your living room, whatever it is. Ideally, combine these triggers. For example, always do your 10 squats in the morning. For example, like you have an exercising gear, right? At 8 a.m. in your living room. Now you have the place, you have the attire, and you already have it in your brain. You're training this toddler. The combination of your outfit, the time, and the pace, the place becomes a strong start button for your new routine. So once this toddler sees it, it starts creating the trail. And once you have your trigger and the next action, the next step is repetition. Now that it's learning the trail. Now you do it again and again. Consistency. Do the squats every day. Over time, this routine will transform into habit. A trail. Becoming a highway. That's the goal. And squats are just examples. So put that with whatever you want to achieve. The squats will still require energy, right? But deciding to do them will feel like a chore and more like natural part of your day. Just feel like, at first it's gonna be hard, but you keep doing it. A trail, you keep building a trail to a highway. That's what it is. This process is simple, but it's not always easy. To make your new action easier to repeat, to make it like enjoyable, it is not as easy as scrolling and just getting that little of adrenaline. This doesn't mean many new habits don't offer the same instant gratification as scrolling through social media, just rewarding yourself afterwards, but finding ways to make the action itself more pleasant. It is you training your inner person, you having a conversation with this and asking it for help. And where you feel the fear, speak, have a conversation with the brain, the toddler. If you've ever dealt with a toddler before, then it should be very easy for you to deal with this toddler up here, in here. It's easier said than done, but you just begin. And I told you, you start with God to help you because He created you. He knows you better. No one knows you better than your maker. For example, you have a car, right? Whatever it is. I'm just giving an example of a car. You want it fixed? Let's say you're driving a Toyota. You take it to the Toyota dealership. They made it. They know it better. And sometimes you can take it there for diagnosis. And then because they're expensive, you take it somewhere to a mechanic, diagnose it. Then you compare. Go to the maker. If you don't know what to do. If you don't know where to start. If you can't have a conversation with this, go to the maker who made this. What other tips are you waiting for? That's my biggest tip. Start there. It's tough. And she's just speaking. It's easier said than done. So what? Why don't you try it? The same way you're speaking, that energy you're using to say it's easier said than done, why don't you use that energy to start? There are no quick fix. There are no quick fixes anywhere for change. But the science of habit says that change is possible. No matter your age, no matter what it is, change is possible. Every small steps It leads to an improvement, to a significant, great improvement. You know, being a little, for example, healthier or more knowledgeable is infinitely better than staying stuck or unhappy, right? So what's your first step? Break down that big goal into tiny, manageable actions. Set up those triggers and repeat and repeat and repeat. And over time, you'll find that what once felt like a chore is now natural, is now neutral, part of your day. For example, if you're learning driving, you remember how it used to be, and now you just enter your car without thinking and you drive and go. That's exactly how it's gonna be. Change might not be easy, but it's definitely possible. And even the small step forward, they are worth celebrating. Celebrate yourself. Speak to this toddler. Celebrate. If you give a toddler a candy, you're like, do this, I'll do this. Celebrate. Now, if you found this helpful, like, share, subscribe, comment. You know the drill. Down the drill to Anyway, yeah, those are the simple steps. If you want to master these, this toddler, keep feeding this toddler. But before you even start there, my finishing is start with the maker and then take the first step. And then you repeat and repeat, build a trail, becomes a street, then a highway in this forest. Not this forest here. If you've dealt with a toddler before, then you already know. That's what it is. God first. My name is Esther. I'll see you on my next video. Thank you.